My classic Saab 900 sound system is, well, over 35 years old, and that means it is time for an overhaul. So today we'll be doing exactly that. Yes, my Saab 900 does still exist. I know I've been filming nonstop on the 9.3 to get it ready for SOC, so I figured it was time to do an upgrade on the 900 that I've been wanting to do, well, since I bought it. Thankfully, because it is an older car, its sound system is quite simple. We are going to be doing a swap of all of the speakers today, which, again, because it's an older car, is not too significant. We'll be replacing all 4 speakers in the car. There are 2 4-inch by 4-inch speakers on the top of the dashboard, and then there are 2 4 by 10-inch speakers that are back here in each corner next to the rear parcel shelf. When I first got this car, the sound system was obviously bad, but given all the other things that this car had wrong with it and that I wanted to do, it kind of fell pretty low on the priority list. Given that I'm usually driving this car with the windows down, when you have the volume up above half, the sound gets pretty bad, almost to the point where sometimes you can't even hear what's coming out of the speakers clearly.
Australia in the semis on Friday. The men's team plays its semi-final game tomorrow against Serbia.
So there's kind of a clip with the, not full volume, but higher volume, just to show you how bad that sound is. So in order to fix that, we put an order into Crutchfield. Like I mentioned, we are replacing all 4 speakers today. I'm actually going with the recommendation of my buddy John, who has a classic 900, put these same speakers in his car. We're not going for anything crazy. We just want a factory sound out of this. We want speakers that are passable, that are good enough. So I'll put the part numbers for both the speakers on the screen right here if you want to order them for Crutchfield. This is not a sponsored video. These combined, there was a sale on one of these two where about $110 shipped, so really not too bad at all. We'll have to see how mounting these goes, if we'll need to do any modification or creating new holes or ways to mount them. Thankfully, each kit does come with a few little plugs and extra screws and little brackets. So I'm a little bit more worried about the front ones based on how they connect. I'm thinking, at the risk of jinxing myself, these rears should be pretty straightforward. So I think without further ado, let's jump into the install. These are held in fairly simply by 4 7mm nuts. So you can see 2 right there, and there are 2 on the back side. So slight problem with this is, at least when I did this on this side, yes, I went ahead and did the install on one side first to make sure I was filming everything properly. Unfortunately, the nut on the top up here kind of just rests there. So it's a bit of a battle to get this out successfully without just spinning the nut. But once those 4 are out, it's just 2 wires. So in theory, it should be very simple. Let's get to it. I'll start by unplugging our 2 wires. So these back 2 screws, you might be able to see my head. I am looking straight up at them, and this one in the very back corner, you can't even really see. You kind of just have to feel it. And so I'm going to start with that one, since it's going to be the most difficult to get to. If we pull this back, it'll give us a little bit better access to that. In order to access these nuts, because I can tell they're just spinning freely on the 2 I've already tried to loosen, we can remove 2 T25s back here. And that is going to allow us to pull this up. Now, depending on your car, this may or may not be in very good condition. Mine's very fragile, I can tell, so we're going to need to be careful with it. If I do that, I can hold my finger on this nut. Now I can feel it's actually loosening. So I have a wrench, 7 wrench on the nut up top, and it's just a slow process to get this off. All right, that's half of them out. I'm gonna tackle this last easy one because this other one in the back corner we're just not gonna be able to get to until it's last. You can see this one it was just spinning at least. Now it dropped free, so that's good. Very annoying. These should have been welded nuts. Big mistake on Saab's part. These nuts should be welded to this little pillar here. You'll notice that you cannot, for the life of you, get your hand back in here to access this last nut. It's impossible. On the other side, I had to just leave it, and I was able to somehow eventually finesse this bolt out. So that's what I'm gonna have to do here, just through a method of wiggling, trying to find a right angle, just see if I can somehow get this last bolt out.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Okay, this actually didn't take as long as I thought. So the method I kind of used here, pulling the speaker down as I stuck the impact on it. So I figured pulling down on the speaker to kind of create some friction on that nut in the metal plate, if that makes sense, would hopefully release it. So I stuck the impact on there while pulling down with the speaker, and it actually worked. So as you might be able to guess, getting that 4th bolt in and out on our new speaker is going to be just about impossible. So as you can see, the bolts are threading up into the top of the car, and what I've found is going to be much easier for reinstallation is putting our bolts down through this way and then using a nut on the bottom. It's just going to make it a lot easier to line the speaker up and then also to tighten it down. This kit does come with new ends for the speaker. These are, for the most part, exactly the same. This bigger one fits on tightly. However, this smaller one, the opening is a bit too wide. So instead of crimping a new connector on there, I think what I'll try first, seeing if I can just tighten that down, because you see it fits over there, but it doesn't actually grab it because that hole is too big. Yep, there we go. That's a lot better. Thankfully, these are all in good shape, so it's pretty easy to manipulate them and just slide them back. Now we can use the OEM connectors. So the factory screw and nut have this little like washer on here that I will be reusing as well. So I'll essentially feed it down like this, and ideally this little washer is going to dig into this metal and prevent the top of the bolt from spinning as I try to tighten this nut. So what I'll do is I'm going to put all 3 of these in. Again, we're not going to be able to access this 4th one back here in the corner. There's just no way to get to it. I have no idea how you're supposed to do it. So I'll slide all 3 of these down, and that'll give us 3 clear holes to line up when we go to hook in our speaker. Reason why I'm doing this is because otherwise trying to feed the speaker in upside down like this and simultaneously line all these holes up is just about impossible. So what I'll do is make sure all 3 of these are going to go through the bolts. See, actually I got lucky on the first time and all 3 are connected. So then I can easily reach through here, start that nut, and I'll start the nut on all 3 of them and we'll tighten them down. I can feel that washer doing its job. You see how it's already getting tight on me, so I think this is the strategy to go with here. Oh yeah, those washers are definitely doing their job. None of these are fighting me. And now we can fix our carpet that we pulled back earlier. And then plug in this little stopper for the parcel shelf. Got to make sure we put that back in. see these things just disintegrate. You can buy, I think Modern Classic Saab sells new versions of these, so they just disintegrate over time. I have kind of the back half of the cover that I just put up there. It usually falls off, so I just have them sitting in the corner of the trunk, but yeah, that's all good. Let's test them.
I would say it's definitely a fuel to obviously get a better record as a team.
So as you can tell, it's a whole lot more clear. I can tell front to back that the back sound great, and you can still hear the fuzziness from the front when the volume's loud. So you might have still caught some of that in that clip there, but very happy with that result. Let's move on to the fronts. Our front speakers are thankfully going to be a bit easier. Easier, of course, being a relative term because even the rears weren't terribly difficult. It's always nice when the wiring is extremely simple. I've definitely gotten a lot more confident in my electrical skills over the past couple of years, having owned this car and being tasked with solving some electrical issues. But you can see just 2 T10 screws, and then we pull the front up, and there's 2 little clips at the front of the dashboard that hold it in, and that releases our little speaker shroud. And so right here, similar to the back, just 2 little wires for that, and our whole assembly is free. The way that these speakers are held in is a bit unique in the fact that you have 4 clips that kind of dig into this plastic piece here, and then there's tabs that hold the speaker down. Now, if this speaker housing wasn't broken, there would be 4 little plastic nubs right here to hold it exactly in one place, but you can see this one has them all missing and it's still stuck on there. I'll put a picture on the screen of what the other side looks like so you can see what those little plastic nubs look like. So in order to get these off, we just need to stick a small flathead in there and gently pry that off. So there's even like little pieces of my speaker that are in there, and you can see just how damaged these all are. If I didn't mention it earlier in the video, they're all Saab original speakers, which is super cool, but just given the age, they have faded over time. So our new speaker, again, similar to the other one, is going to have the same 2 connection points. I think we're going to have to crimp that smaller one a bit tighter like we did on the rear, but there's just a look at it. You can see if I did have those 4 plastic little nubs, they'd all just rest on there, but unfortunately, because they're broken, we'll just have to rely on the clips. So importantly, I need to make sure I put these on in the same way because these 2 things are here, and of course I did not pay attention to that when I just removed the speaker. So I'm going to watch back what I just filmed and make sure I reinstall this the correct way. I think it was this way. Yep, that was it. Easy enough. So we just need to reinstall our 4 clips. On the other side, I bent a couple of them down further because they weren't quite contacting the speaker, so you might need to do that on yours. I just pressed down on this a bit to make it a sharper angle so it would contact the speaker, but on this side it seems to be all good. It's not moving around. That was very simple, and it was nice that we could do it on the bench. Let's go reinstall this. Plastic covering off, and then use some pliers to very delicately lightly compress that. Yep, that's a lot better. And we'll just slide these 2 clips in to the front. Let's put our dash cover back on here to hide the hideousness of that. And let's see how it sounds.
And by the way, the 3 million viewers for the first group play game, still more than any WNBA game this season, even though this
All right, I had to turn it up loud just that way we could confirm everything's good.
The viewership has been great for the W. It's going to be better with Caitlin being better later this season.
Well, for only a little bit over $100, I would say that is a very simple way to transform and, well, improve the sound system in your Saab 900. I'm sure there are higher quality speakers that you could spend more money on, but I just need speakers that work and work at full volume, more importantly, or above half volume, I should say more specifically. So if you enjoyed this video, found it informative or helpful, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what kind of content you want to see on the 900. I'm sure we'll have more to come regardless. I do have a few things in mind. Subscribe if you haven't already. Help me reach my goal of 100,000, and I'll see you all in the next one.